What if the things you throw away could become the most magical part of your garden? Today, you'll see how ordinary trash, bottles, tires, broken plates, can transform into enchanting treasures that bring your backyard to life. Welcome to Mind Over Decoration, a place where creativity meets sustainability. In this video, we'll explore 17+ fresh DIY creations you'll regret not trying. Use the timestamps to pick your favorites, and don't forget to share your questions in the comments. And remember, maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story, and a real family. Every like, every comment, every subscribe truly matters. When you support this channel, you're not just helping us grow, you're keeping a dream alive. Imagine walking into your backyard on a warm summer morning. The sunlight filters through the trees, the air smells of fresh herbs, and right in the middle of the garden stands a tower unlike anything you've ever seen. It's not made of glass or steel, but of something simple, familiar, and often thrown away: plastic bottles. This is the Bottle Tower Greenhouse, a creation that turns what was once trash into a living, breathing hub of greenery. Each bottle, carefully stacked and joined, creates a vertical column that shelters seedlings and herbs. Basil, mint, parsley, and even small tomato sprouts grow happily inside their clear, recycled homes, protected from the wind yet kissed by the sun. Building it is surprisingly simple. You start by collecting sturdy plastic bottles, preferably of the same size, then cut openings that will serve as planting windows. The bottoms are trimmed so the bottles fit one into another, forming a tall transparent tube. At the base, a small reservoir holds water, ensuring that gravity helps distribute moisture downward. Soil, compost, and tiny plants fill the rest. What makes this greenhouse magical is not just the science of vertical gardening, it's the feeling it creates. Standing beside it, you'll notice how the sunlight refracts through the bottle walls, casting little prisms of color on the soil below. Kids will watch in awe, neighbors will pause to ask, and you'll smile knowing you've turned waste into wonder. In a French or English cottage-style garden, the tower blends perfectly with vintage wooden benches, pebble paths, and climbing roses on pergolas. Yet it adds a modern ecological statement: beauty doesn't have to cost the earth. Reusing bottles this way reduces waste, saves space, and gives any small backyard the charm of innovation. And when summer deepens, the tower becomes a celebration of growth. Herbs for your kitchen are only steps away, strawberries dangle from the sides, and vines stretch upward with determination. It's more than a project, it's proof that sustainability can be enchanting. So the next time you hold an empty bottle, don't see trash. See a seed's future home, see a greenhouse in disguise, and see the chance to create a tower of life that transforms your backyard into something unforgettable. something magical about watching water dance in a garden. The sound is soft, soothing, and somehow brings the whole space to life. Now imagine that source of wonder isn't a store-bought fountain, but something crafted from a broken umbrella you thought had no future. This is the beauty of the umbrella fairy fountain. The idea begins with an old umbrella, rusty frame, torn fabric, maybe even bent from the wind. Instead of throwing it away, you give it a new role. The canopy becomes a playful roof, catching water that flows gently from the top and drips along the edges like summer rain. Beneath, a stone basin or wide planter collects the flow, creating a miniature pond where birds might stop to sip and dragonflies to hover. To make it, you'll need a pump, small, inexpensive, and easy to install. Hidden inside the basin, the pump pushes water upward through a pipe connected to the umbrella's center. As the water spills outward, it transforms the umbrella into a shimmering canopy of raindrops. Add a few LED fairy lights spiraling along the ribs, and at night, it glows like a lantern of dreams. But the real magic lies in the setting. Place the fountain beside roses in full bloom, or near a patch of lavender where bees hum happily. In a French or English-style vintage garden, the fountain doesn't just decorate, it tells a story. A story of rain turned into play, of waste reborn into beauty, of simple joy found in the sound of water. Children will giggle as they watch, adults will pause to take photos, and you'll feel a sense of pride every time you hear the trickle. It's not just a fountain, it's proof that creativity can turn even a broken object into a centerpiece of wonder. As summer deepens, the umbrella fairy fountain becomes a gathering place in your garden. A small sanctuary where water sparkles under sunlight, flowers bloom in harmony, and life feels a little more enchanted. And every time you look at it, you'll remember, magic doesn't always come from buying something new. It often begins with what you already have. Every garden has its heartbeat, a place that draws the eye and sparks a smile. For some, it's a flower bed. For others, it's a water feature. But in many backyards, the most surprising centerpiece is something playful, colorful, and filled with life, the rainbow tire swing planter. Once, the tire was old, cracked, and headed for the landfill. Instead, it's been transformed into a symbol of joy. The tire, painted in brilliant rainbow stripes, now hangs proudly from a rope, swaying gently in the summer breeze. But it doesn't carry children, it carries blooms. Petunias spill over the edges in a cascade of pinks and purples, marigolds add bursts of gold, and ivy trails like green ribbons down toward the grass. The magic is in the simplicity. Anyone can build one. A single tire, cleaned and painted with vivid outdoor paints, becomes the base. Strong ropes secure it to a pergola beam or the branch of a sturdy tree. Inside, rich soil and compost create a fertile cradle. You can plant anything, flowers, herbs, even strawberries that dangle like jewels through the openings. Placed in a French or English cottage-style garden, the planter looks whimsical, almost like something from a storybook. Against the backdrop of a wooden gate, pebble paths, and climbing roses, the rainbow swing is both rustic and playful. It bridges the line between art and gardening, between recycling and imagination. And it's more than just decoration. It invites conversation. Children point at the bright colors, guests ask how it was made, and every glance reminds you of the simple truth: beauty can come from what was once discarded. On summer afternoons, sunlight filters through the trees and the colors of the tire glow even brighter. The flowers bloom as if they're celebrating their unusual home. The swing doesn't just hold plants, it holds stories, creativity, and the joy of second chances. In the end, the Rainbow Tire Swing Planter is more than a DIY project. It's a declaration. A declaration that your garden doesn't need to be ordinary. It can be fun, vibrant, and alive with color. All it takes is a single old tire, some paint, and a little imagination to turn your backyard into a gallery of summer magic. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the sound of water in a garden. Soft, soothing, and endlessly calming, it feels like nature itself is singing. Now open them, and picture that sound flowing from something simple yet beautiful, the Rustic Bamboo Waterfall Wall. This creation begins with one of the most humble materials, bamboo. Hollow, light, and abundant, bamboo has long been a favorite in traditional gardens. Here, it becomes more than structure, it becomes the lifeblood of a waterfall. Tall bamboo poles are stacked side by side to form a vertical wall. Behind them, a hidden pump sends water upward, where it gently spills from hollow bamboo spouts. The flow trickles down into a stone basin below, creating a continuous loop of movement and sound. The effect is enchanting. On summer afternoons, the water glistens as sunlight breaks into sparkles across each drop. Birds fly down to sip, butterflies dance around the damp stones, and the air feels fresher, cooler, alive. Placed in a French or English-style vintage garden, the waterfall wall becomes the perfect balance between rustic tradition and natural elegance. Imagine roses blooming at its sides, lavender perfuming the breeze, and a vegetable patch thriving nearby. It's both functional and poetic. Building one doesn't demand perfection. In fact, its charm lies in the irregularity of the bamboo poles and the organic flow of water. Recycled materials, old bamboo, leftover stones, even a second-hand pump, are enough to make it real. A coat of weatherproof finish can keep the bamboo glowing golden through many summers. And if you paint accents in soft blues or earthy greens, it becomes a piece of garden art as well as a fountain. Beyond its beauty, the Rustic Bamboo Waterfall Wall gives something deeper. It creates a sanctuary. A place where you can sit quietly with a cup of tea, where children laugh as they dip fingers in the basin, where guests stop mid-conversation, listening to the natural melody of water. At its heart, it's proof that even the simplest of resources can create extraordinary experiences. Bamboo, water, stones, ordinary pieces of nature reborn as something extraordinary. A reminder that sustainability isn't only about saving materials, it's about celebrating them. So next time you hear the whisper of water in your backyard, let it remind you, you built more than a fountain, you built people. Sometimes a garden needs more than flowers and greenery, it needs a touch of personality, a character that makes visitors stop, smile, and wonder. That's where the Tire Goat Planter sculpture steps in. Playful, colorful, and unforgettable, it transforms old tires into a living piece of garden art. Imagine walking into your backyard on a sunny afternoon. Among the roses and vegetable beds, a goat stands proudly, not a real one, but one sculpted from painted tires. Its sturdy body is made from stacked circles, its curved horns cut from tire sides, and its cheerful frame painted in bright summer colors. From its back, flowers spill over as if the goat itself carries the garden's joy. Building one begins with creativity, not perfection. Gather a few worn-out tires, clean them, and cut shapes for the body, legs, and horns. Assemble the pieces with sturdy screws or bolts, then paint them in vivid shades, rainbow stripes, earthy tones, or even traditional black with golden accents. Once the goat's form takes shape, fill its back with rich soil, compost, and your choice of plants. Petunias, marigolds, strawberries, or herbs make wonderful passengers for this whimsical creature. Placed in a French or English cottage-style garden, the tire goat planter becomes more than decoration, it becomes a story. Children are drawn to it immediately, often giggling at the idea of a goat carrying flowers. Guests ask questions, eager to know how it was made. And you, as the creator, feel the quiet satisfaction of giving both life and laughter to something that was once considered waste. The sculpture also brings variety to your garden's landscape. Amid rows of tomatoes and peppers, or beside a pathway lined with lavender, the goat planter adds contrast and charm. It reminds everyone who sees it that sustainability can be joyful, playful, and beautiful. And as summer deepens, the goat grows with the garden. Flowers bloom brighter, vines stretch higher, and the once-forgotten tires now hold the heart of your backyard's character. This project isn't just recycling. It's storytelling. It says, here lives a garden that welcomes creativity, humor, and a second life for the things we often overlook. The tire goat planter sculpture is more than an object. It's a friend, a guardian of blooms, and a reminder that every piece of trash still has the chance to bring joy. There is a certain beauty in imperfection, when something broken is given a second chance to shine. The Mosaic broken plate Birdbath is a perfect example of this magic, turning shattered pieces of porcelain into a centerpiece of color, life, and song. Picture this: the sun is warm, the air is alive with the hum of bees, and in the middle of your garden stands a bowl of water shimmering like glass. But it's not ordinary. Its surface glitters with fragments of plates, cups, and ceramics once considered useless. Blues, reds, florals, and gold lines come together in a mosaic pattern that feels both rustic and regal. Birds flutter down, sip from the edges, and suddenly, your garden has a place of welcome and wonder. Creating it is simpler than it looks. Collect your broken dishes, the ones too chipped to use but too beautiful to throw away. Arrange the pieces like puzzle fragments over a concrete or terracotta bowl, fixing them with strong outdoor adhesive or cement. Fill in the gaps with grout, smooth the surface, and let it set. The result is a bowl that tells a story, each piece a memory woven into a larger picture. Place the bowl on a pedestal, stone, wood, or even an upcycled stand from old furniture. Fill it with fresh water, and soon the first visitors arrive: sparrows, finches, butterflies, even bees stopping by for a sip. The birdbath isn't just decoration, it's life. It connects your garden to the creatures around it, turning your backyard into a sanctuary. In a French or English vintage-style garden, The Mosaic Birdbath blends perfectly with climbing roses, lavender hedges, and pebble pathways. It feels timeless, as if it has always belonged there. Yet it also whispers of resilience, proof that what breaks doesn't have to be discarded. As summer deepens, you'll find yourself drawn to it. Watching the water ripple as a bird dips its wings, hearing the gentle sounds of flutter and splash, feeling the joy of knowing you've created beauty from fragments. It becomes more than a garden ornament. It becomes a symbol of hope, creativity, and the charm of renewal. The Mosaic broken plate birdbath reminds us that even broken things can hold water, hold light, and hold life. And in doing so, they hold the heart of a garden too. When the sun sets and your garden begins to glow in the golden light of evening, there's something magical about having a centerpiece that shines just as beautifully as the flowers do by day. Enter the rustic glass bottle chandelier, a creation that brings both warmth and wonder to summer nights. What once were empty wine or soda bottles now hang proudly as glowing lanterns. Suspended from a wooden pergola or the branch of an old tree, the chandelier transforms your backyard into an enchanting gathering place. Each bottle is fitted with a small LED or fairy light, casting a soft, warm glow that dances across the leaves and pathways. At night, it feels like stepping into a rustic dreamscape where sustainability meets romance. The process is delightfully simple yet rewarding. Collect bottles of different shapes and shades, greens, ambers, and clear glass. Add variety. Cut or drill openings safely to insert the lights, then secure the bottles to a sturdy frame or recycled metal ring. A chain or rope suspends the piece overhead, making it both rustic and elegant. You can even paint some bottles in pastel hues or wrap them in twine for a cottage-style touch. In a French or English vintage garden, the chandelier feels perfectly at home. Imagine sitting under it on a warm evening, a wooden table set with herbs and flowers from your garden. Lavender perfumes the air, grapevines twist overhead, and the chandelier flickers like a constellation you've brought down to earth. Guests will linger longer, children will gaze upward in wonder, and you'll find yourself sitting outside long after the stars appear, simply enjoying the glow. Beyond its beauty, the rustic glass bottle chandelier carries a message: light can come from what others consider waste. Every bottle tells a story, of gatherings, of moments, of everyday life. And together, they create a masterpiece that lights the present and inspires the future. As summer nights stretch on, this chandelier becomes more than decor. It becomes the soul of your garden evenings. A reminder that creativity has no limits, and that even something as simple as a bottle can shine again. The rustic glass bottle chandelier isn't just a project, it's a promise that light, joy, and second chances can always find their way back home. Sometimes the most charming garden treasures don't come from a nursery or a store. They come from the attic, the flea market, or even the dusty corner of your closet. That's the magic of the vintage suitcase vegetable planter. Imagine an old suitcase, perhaps once carried on long journeys, its leather scuffed, its metal clasps a little rusty. Most would see it as outdated or useless. But in the garden, it becomes a stage for life. Open the lid, line the inside with burlap or plastic for protection, add rich soil and compost, and suddenly, a story unfolds. Tiny green sprouts of lettuce, fragrant herbs like basil and parsley, or even bright strawberries begin to thrive where shoes and clothes once rested. The charm lies in its uniqueness. No two suitcase planters are ever the same. Each carries its own history and character: floral fabric linings, faded stickers from old destinations, or worn handles that speak of countless hands. And when filled with vegetables and herbs, the contrast between vintage style and fresh greenery is irresistible. In a French or English cottage-style garden, this planter blends seamlessly with rustic benches, pebble paths, and climbing roses. Place it near a pergola wrapped in grapevines, and it feels like a secret discovery waiting to be noticed. Guests can't help but smile when they realize that the strawberries they're eating come from a suitcase garden. Beyond its beauty, the suitcase planter is practical. It's portable, space-saving, and perfect for small backyards or patios. For gardeners with limited space, it's a clever way to grow food while adding personality to the landscape. And because it uses recycled materials, it's a quiet nod to sustainability, a promise that nothing truly loses value. As summer unfolds, the suitcase becomes a living centerpiece. Leaves spill over its edges, strawberries dangle like jewels, and the scent of herbs perfumes the air. It feels whimsical, nostalgic, and alive all at once. This project is more than just planting, it's storytelling. It takes something from the past and lets it grow into the future. The vintage suitcase vegetable planter reminds us that every object has another chapter waiting to be written. Sometimes all it needs is soil, seeds, and a little imagination to begin again. Some gardens invite you to look. Others invite you to walk. And when your feet touch a path that sparkles with color, the journey itself becomes part of the magic. That's the joy of the Rainbow Spoon Mosaic Path, a walkway that transforms everyday plastic spoons into a story beneath your steps. It begins with the simplest of items, old spoons. Bent, mismatched, or leftover from parties. Instead of being thrown away, they're painted in bright rainbow shades: reds, blues, yellows, greens, purples. Each spoon becomes a vibrant brushstroke. Embedded into cement or pressed into garden soil, they line up like mosaic tiles, forming a path that gleams in the sunlight. Walking down this path feels like stepping into a fairy tale. Sunlight catches on the glossy colors, butterflies hover above, and flowers on either side seem to bloom even brighter against the kaleidoscope beneath them. Children can't resist running along, laughing at the colors. Guests pause to take photos, amazed that something so ordinary could become something so enchanting. Building it requires patience, but not perfection. Paint the spoons with outdoor acrylics or spray paint, let them dry, and arrange them in patterns, swirls, stripes, or waves. Place them into wet cement or a sturdy mortar base so they stay secure, then let time and nature seal them in. The result is durable, whimsical, and unlike anything store-bought. In a French or English cottage-style garden, the Rainbow Spoon Mosaic Path fits effortlessly. It winds through vegetable beds of tomatoes and peppers, past lavender hedges and roses, leading the eye deeper into the heart of the garden. It's not just a walkway, It's a ribbon of color connecting one magical corner to the next. But beyond beauty, the path tells a bigger story, that creativity can shine through even in the smallest things. That waste can be reborn into wonder. That a spoon, usually forgotten after one use, can carry a lifetime of color under the summer sun. As the season unfolds, the path continues to sparkle. Rain washes it clean, sunlight makes it glow, and every step you take reminds you that gardens aren't only about plants, they're about imagination. The Rainbow Spoon Mosaic Path doesn't just take you through your garden. It takes you somewhere brighter, happier, and more alive, one step at a time. Every garden needs an entrance, but not every entrance tells a story. The rustic gate with Pebble inlay is more than a door, it's a welcome, a promise, and a piece of art that sets the tone for everything inside. Imagine approaching your backyard on a warm summer afternoon. Before you step into the lush rows of vegetables and blooming flowers, you pass through a gate unlike any other. Its wooden frame, weathered but strong, is adorned with pebbles, tiny treasures collected from rivers, beaches, or garden soil. Set into swirls, spirals, or even floral shapes, the pebbles shimmer under the sunlight, catching your eye before you even enter. The process begins simply. Find an old wooden gate or build one from reclaimed planks. Sand it smooth, then sketch a design. Perhaps a vine, a flower, or a geometric pattern. With strong adhesive and grout, carefully place polished pebbles into the design. Each stone adds its voice, each color its own sparkle. When finished, seal the surface to protect it from rain and sun. The result is both sturdy and beautiful, practical and poetic. Placed at the entrance of a French or English cottage-style garden, this gate feels like stepping into another world. Beyond it lies your sanctuary of roses, lavender, tomatoes, and herbs. But the gate itself sets the mood. It whispers of care, creativity, and intention. Guests pause to run their fingers over the smooth pebbles, marveling at the patience and artistry. Children trace the patterns with their eyes, imagining secret worlds on the other side. The rustic gate with Pebble inlay is more than just functional. It's symbolic. It marks the transition from everyday life into a place of growth and magic. It reminds you that even boundaries can be beautiful, that even the simplest stones can create something extraordinary when given purpose. As the summer deepens, the gate ages gracefully. The wood darkens, the pebbles gleam brighter after rain, and vines begin to curl along its edges, weaving nature back into the design. It becomes not just an entrance, but part of the garden's living soul. In the end, the rustic gate with Pebble inlay is proof that the journey into a garden can be as enchanting as the garden itself. Because beauty doesn't start at the center, it starts at the threshold. Some of the most delightful garden creations don't start with big tools or heavy materials. They start with something small, playful, and often forgotten. The toy truck succulent garden is one of those projects. It takes a relic of childhood and gives it a new role as a living, breathing planter that makes everyone smile. Imagine stumbling upon an old toy truck in the attic or at a thrift shop. Its paint may be chipped, the wheels a little worn, but it still carries charm. Instead of letting it sit in storage, you roll it straight into the garden. With just a little soil, some succulents, and imagination, the toy truck becomes a tiny moving garden. Though it no longer carries sand or toys, it carries life. Succulents are the perfect passengers. Hardy and vibrant, they thrive with little care, their fleshy leaves spilling from the truck bed like colorful cargo. Echeveria with rosette shapes, jade plants with glossy greens, or aloe with spiky texture turn the truck into a miniature desert landscape. Add small pebbles or moss around the plants, and the scene looks complete, like a fairy tale frozen in motion. In a French or English vintage-style garden, this whimsical planter fits like a secret treasure. Place it along a pebble path, on a rustic wooden bench, or near a vegetable patch, and it instantly draws attention. Guests smile at the nostalgia, children are fascinated by the idea of a garden truck, and you'll feel joy knowing you've merged playfulness with sustainability. Building one requires little effort. Clean the toy, drill a few drainage holes if needed, and fill the truck bed with soil and succulents. For extra charm, paint the truck in cheerful summer shades, pastels, rainbow stripes, or rustic weathered tones. Each detail adds character, making the planter not just functional but artistic. As summer deepens, the succulents grow fuller, spilling over the sides as if the truck is overflowing with life. The planter becomes more than decoration, it becomes a memory, a story of transformation, and a gentle reminder that creativity knows no age. The toy truck succulent garden proves that gardening isn't just about plants, it's about imagination. It's about looking at something ordinary and seeing the extraordinary waiting inside. And in this case, it's about letting a toy carry joy, once again, through every corner of your backyard. In every garden, there are plants that love to climb. Vines, beans, grapes, or even delicate flowers, they all look for something to hold on to as they reach toward the sun. What if that support came not from store-bought wood or metal, but from something once abandoned in a garage? That's the charm of the bicycle wheel trellis. Picture a row of old bicycle wheels, some rusty, some faded, but all carrying stories of past rides. Instead of being discarded, they're stacked vertically or arranged in a playful tower. Together, they form a trellis, a structure that welcomes vines, roses, or beans to weave through its spokes. Over time, the wheels disappear under leaves and blossoms, becoming a hidden skeleton that holds up beauty. Building one is wonderfully simple. Gather discarded wheels, clean them, and paint them in cheerful colors, soft pastels for a cottage feel, or bold rainbow stripes for playful energy. Fix them together with strong rods or wooden posts, anchoring them securely in the ground. Then plant climbing species at the base, grapes, morning glories, beans, or even cucumbers. Within weeks, shoots will begin to curl through the spokes, transforming the wheels into living walls of green. In a French or English vintage-style garden, the trellis fits in naturally. Imagine a grapevine twisting through spokes, clusters of grapes hanging like jewels. Roses climb upward, weaving their thorns and petals through circles of metal. Lavender perfumes the breeze, and tomato plants thrive nearby. The trellis doesn't just support plants, it supports the atmosphere, making the backyard feel whimsical, resourceful, and alive. Children love to watch the plants climb, as if the garden is racing upward. Guests pause to admire the clever reuse, surprised at how something as mundane as a wheel can become so graceful. And you, as the creator, feel joy every time you see new tendrils wrap around the spokes. As summer deepens, the trellis becomes more than structure. It becomes a vertical garden, alive with flowers, fruits, and fragrance. It tells a story of cycles, not just of bicycles, but of life, reuse, and renewal. The bicycle wheel trellis proves that a garden's strength doesn't always come from new materials. Sometimes it comes from giving the old a new purpose, and letting nature do the rest. Every home has objects that once served us daily but now sit forgotten in cupboards or sheds. Old kettles, dented teapots, chipped enamel pots, they may seem useless, but in a garden, they can bloom again. That's the charm of the kettle and teapot planter set. Imagine walking into your backyard on a warm summer day. Along a rustic wooden shelf or a pebble pathway, a collection of kettles and teapots greets you. Not steaming with tea, but overflowing with flowers and herbs. A lavender plant rises from the spout of a rusty kettle. A teapot brims with strawberries that spill like jewels over the rim. Tiny daisies, marigolds, and mint leaves peek out from handles and lids, turning something ordinary into something extraordinary. The process is simple, yet the results feel magical. Start by collecting old kettles or teapots, metal, ceramic, or enamel. Drill small drainage holes in the bottom, fill with soil, and choose your plants. Herbs like basil, thyme, or mint thrive in these containers, as do flowers like petunias or pansies. For a touch of whimsy, plant strawberries or small succulents so they cascade naturally. In a French or English vintage-style garden, this planter set feels perfectly at home. Picture it beside a wooden bench under a pergola, or arranged neatly on an old ladder shelf. Their pastel paints or weathered patina give them a shabby chic charm that makes the garden feel cozy and personal. Guests will smile at the cleverness, children will peek inside each pot, and you'll enjoy the nostalgia of seeing old kitchenware alive with new purpose. Beyond beauty, this set tells a story of renewal. Each kettle once boiled water for tea, each teapot once served family meals. Now, they nourish life in a different way, cradling roots, holding blossoms, and offering fragrance. They remind us that objects, like people, can live more than one life. As summer deepens, the kettle and teapot planter set grows fuller and more vibrant. Flowers bloom in waves of color, herbs release their scent when brushed, and fruiting plants delight with every harvest. The garden becomes a gallery of memories and creativity combined. The kettle and teapot planter set is not just decor, it's a gentle reminder that beauty often begins when we give the forgotten a chance to bloom again. There's something almost hypnotic about watching the wind play with objects in a garden. The motion, the sound, the shimmer of light, it all feels alive. The twig and bottle wind spinner captures that feeling perfectly, turning humble materials into a moving piece of art that never stops surprising you. It starts with twigs, simple, weathered, gathered from the ground after a summer storm. These are bound together into a frame, rustic and natural. From it hang painted bottles, small ones from sauces, sodas, or even medicine jars. Each bottle is strung carefully so it dangles freely. When the wind arrives, they twirl, spin, and clink together, creating a dance of light and sound that feels like the garden is singing. The beauty of this project lies in its simplicity and variety. No two spinners are ever the same. The twigs twist differently, the bottles reflect different shades of sunlight, and the rhythm of the spin changes with every breeze. You might paint the bottles in rainbow hues for a cheerful look, or in soft pastels to match a French or English cottage-style garden. Add beads, shells, or tiny bells for extra sparkle and sound. Hung under a pergola, in a tree branch, or even along a garden arch, the wind spinner becomes a focal point of motion. Imagine sitting with a cup of tea on a warm afternoon, watching sunlight dance through the glass, listening to the gentle clinks. It feels like time slows down, and your garden becomes not just a place to grow, but a place to breathe. The twig and bottle wind spinner also speaks to sustainability. It's proof that broken twigs and empty bottles, things often overlooked, can create something that feels magical. It's recycling at its most poetic, nature and human creativity working together in harmony. As summer continues, the spinner becomes part of the garden's rhythm. Flowers bloom, vegetables ripen, and above it all, the spinner dances endlessly. Guests will pause to admire it, children will try to blow at the bottles to set them moving, and you'll smile, knowing you turned waste into wonder. The twig and bottle wind spinner isn't just decoration, it's a moving reminder of life's cycles. Simple, sustainable, and enchanting, it brings your garden to life with every gust of wind. Some ideas sparkle not because they're expensive, but because they're imaginative. The bottle cap mosaic tabletop is one of those ideas, a project that transforms something as small and ordinary as a bottle cap into a centerpiece that steals the show. Imagine stepping into your backyard on a summer afternoon. In the heart of your garden sits a rustic wooden or metal table. But what makes it extraordinary is its surface, a mosaic made from hundreds of bottle caps, each one painted or polished, each one part of a larger pattern. Circles, spirals, flowers, or even rainbow stripes shimmer under the sunlight, turning the table into a work of art. Creating one is as much about patience as creativity. Begin by collecting caps, plastic or metal, mismatched colors or uniform, each one tells a story. Clean them, paint them in vivid outdoor-safe paints if you wish, and arrange them like tiles across the tabletop. Fix them with strong adhesive, then seal with clear epoxy or resin to create a smooth, durable surface. The result is not only beautiful but weatherproof, ready to withstand many summers. In a French or English cottage-style garden, the table feels perfectly at home. Imagine it under a pergola draped in grapevines, surrounded by roses and lavender. On its surface, not just a mosaic, but a conversation starter. Guests run their fingers over the designs, children count the colors, and you smile, knowing this artwork once lived as forgotten trash. The bottle cap mosaic tabletop is more than decoration, it's community. Many gardeners ask friends and neighbors to save their caps, turning the project into a collective story. Each bottle shared, each cap placed, becomes part of the memory. And every meal, tea, or evening chat held at the table is enriched by the colors and history beneath. As summer deepens, the caps catch sunlight like jewels. Morning dew sparkles across the surface, and by night, candles or fairy lights reflect in a rainbow glow. The table doesn't just serve, it shines. This project is a reminder that creativity isn't about what you buy, but what you see. The bottle cap mosaic tabletop proves that even the tiniest discarded things can come together to build something lasting, joyful, and unforgettable. When night falls in the garden, light becomes more than necessity, it becomes magic. The tin can hanging lights bring that magic alive, turning everyday scraps into lanterns that shimmer with warmth and charm. Imagine a row of tin cans, once containers for soup, coffee, or fruit, now glowing softly in the summer evening. Each one is painted in bright or pastel colors, perforated with tiny holes shaped like stars, flowers, or swirling patterns. As LEDs or candles shine from within, beams of light escape through the holes, scattering across pergolas, pathways, and leaves. The effect is whimsical, as if the stars themselves decided to rest in your backyard. Creating these lanterns is simple yet deeply rewarding. Start with clean, empty cans. Use a hammer and nail, or drill, to punch small holes into patterns of your choice, spirals, constellations, or even your initials. Paint the cans to suit your garden's theme, soft shabby chic tones for a vintage feel, or bold rainbow stripes for playful energy. Attach sturdy wires or twine, then hang them from tree branches, pergolas, or even fences. Add LED tea lights or solar lights for safety and convenience, and watch them glow. In a French or English vintage-style garden, tin can lights blend seamlessly. Hung under grapevine-covered pergolas or along pathways lined with lavender, they create a romantic, storybook atmosphere. They make outdoor dinners cozier, late-night chats warmer, and summer evenings unforgettable. But beyond aesthetics, these lights carry meaning. They remind us that beauty can come from what's overlooked. That a container meant for disposal can shine brighter than something store-bought. Each can tells its own story, from the food it once held to the hands that shaped its new life. As summer nights stretch longer, the lanterns sway gently in the breeze, their light dancing across roses and garden beds. Children love to chase the shadows, guests marvel at the creativity, and you'll find yourself lingering outside, enjoying the glow long after dusk. The tin can hanging lights are more than decor, they are proof of transformation. Proof that even the smallest discarded things can hold light again, not just in your garden, but in the way you see the world. Not every garden has endless space. Sometimes, the trick isn't to grow wider, but to grow taller. That's the beauty of the tiered pallet garden wall, a project that turns reclaimed wood into a vertical canvas of greenery, color, and life. Imagine a simple wooden pallet, once used for carrying crates, now standing tall in your backyard. Instead of nails and boxes, it holds soil, herbs, flowers, and even vegetables. Row by row, the tiers spill over with life: basil, parsley, and thyme perfuming the air, strawberries dangling like jewels, marigolds glowing bright against the wood. In a single glance, you see both practicality and beauty. Building one starts with salvaging old pallets. Sand them down, give them a coat of pastel or rustic paint, and attach planter boxes or pockets made from wood scraps or fabric. Fill with soil, then let your creativity choose the plants. Herbs for the kitchen, flowers for the bees, or small vegetables for daily harvest. Stack multiple pallets side by side to create a wall, or keep just one as a statement piece in a corner. In a French or English vintage-style garden, the pallet wall blends seamlessly with rustic benches, pebble pathways, and climbing roses. It doesn't just save space, it adds charm. Imagine it leaning against a fence, framed by lavender bushes and tomatoes, transforming bare wood into a living piece of art. Guests will be drawn to its cleverness, children will peek at strawberries hiding between leaves, and you'll find joy in harvesting fresh herbs with just a step outside. The tiered pallet garden wall is more than a design solution, it's an invitation. An invitation to grow even in small spaces, to see potential in what others discard, and to create abundance with your own hands. It's a reminder that gardening isn't limited by size, but by imagination. As summer flourishes, the wall becomes a vertical feast for the senses. The colors shift as flowers bloom and fruits ripen, the fragrance of herbs drifts through the air, and every tier feels alive. It turns a plain backyard corner into a vibrant oasis of productivity and beauty. The tiered pallet garden wall proves that gardening has no boundaries. With creativity, even the simplest wood can stand tall as a tower of life, feeding the body and delighting the heart. And that's it, 17 plus amazing DIY garden creations made from simple trash, each one proving that beauty can bloom from anything. Which idea was your favorite? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts and even your own upcycling stories. If you found inspiration today, please give this video a like, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Every click keeps this dream alive and helps us create more magical ideas for you. Until next time, happy gardening and keep turning trash into treasure.